Your brain releases dopamine every time you get a notification. People who avoid social media have trained themselves to resist this chemical reward, and psychologists are now calling them the most mentally free people in modern society. But here's what nobody's telling you. The reason they stay away has nothing to do with being antisocial. It's something far deeper, something that might change how you see your own habits forever. Most people think those who don't use social media are hiding from the world. That's not even close to the truth. The real psychology behind this choice is disturbing, and once you understand it, you can't unsee it. Let me explain what's actually happening in their minds. These people have developed something called psychological immunity. Their brains work differently when it comes to validation. They don't need external approval to feel worthy. This isn't about being confident, it's about how their reward system functions. When most people post something online, they wait for likes. That waiting creates anxiety. Their brain enters a state of anticipation. The dopamine doesn't come from the like itself, it comes from the unpredictable timing of those likes. This is the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. But people without social media never enter this cycle. They never train their brain to crave this pattern. Their self-worth remains internal. It's not tied to numbers on a screen.
Think about the last time you posted something. You probably checked back multiple times. That's your brain hunting for rewards. People who avoid social media never developed this hunting behavior. They get their dopamine from real-world accomplishments, from finishing a book, from a genuine conversation, from creating something with their hands. Their reward system is wired to older, more stable sources. There's another layer to this. These individuals have what psychologists call a low need for social comparison. Most human beings constantly measure themselves against others. It's automatic. You see someone's vacation photos and instantly evaluate your own life. This happens in milliseconds. Your brain doesn't even ask permission. But people without social media have removed the comparison fuel. They're not exposed to hundreds of curated life highlights every day. This doesn't mean they never compare themselves. It means they do it far less frequently. And when they do, it's with people they actually know, not strangers or distant acquaintances. This creates a more accurate view of reality. Social media shows you everyone's highlight reel. Your brain starts believing that's normal life. You feel behind, you feel inadequate, but you're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's final cut. People without social media don't fall into this trap. They see the real lives of people around them, the messy kitchens, the bad hair days, the normal, unfiltered existence. This keeps their expectations grounded. Here's where it gets interesting. These people have a different relationship with their attention span. They can focus for longer periods. This isn't because they have superior willpower, it's because their brain hasn't been fragmented. Every time you switch from one app to another, your brain pays a switching cost. You lose a little bit of focus. Do this enough times, and your baseline attention span shrinks. Research shows the average person checks their phone over 100 times per day. Each check is a small interruption, even if it's just for seconds. These interruptions add up. They reshape how your brain processes information. People without social media never accumulated this damage. They can still read long articles. They can watch a full movie without reaching for their phone. They can have a conversation without mental drift. This gives them a huge advantage in deep work. They can think through complex problems. They can learn difficult skills faster. Their mind isn't constantly jumping between contexts. It's like comparing a calm lake to choppy water. Both are water, but only one gives you a clear reflection. Now let's talk about their sense of time.
People without social media experience time differently. They have fewer documented memories. This might sound like a disadvantage, but it's actually the opposite. When you photograph everything, your brain stops encoding memories properly. It outsources the job to your camera. You were there, but you weren't really present. You were performing your life for an audience. People who don't use social media live their experiences fully. They're not thinking about how to frame a moment. They're inside the moment. This creates richer, more detailed memories. Their brain does the work of remembering, and that work makes the memory stronger.
There's also the issue of identity formation. Your sense of self is shaped by feedback. When you post online, you get immediate reactions. Those reactions influence what you post next. Over time, you start performing a version of yourself. You become what gets the most likes. This isn't conscious. It's a gradual drift toward pleasing an audience. People without social media develop their identity in private. They figure out who they are through internal reflection, through trial and error in real life, through conversations with close friends. This creates a more stable sense of self. They're not shifting based on what's trending. They're not molding themselves to algorithmic preferences. Here's something most people miss. These individuals have protected their mental energy. Decision fatigue is real. Every choice you make drains a little willpower. Social media forces thousands of micro decisions. Do I like this? Do I comment? Do I share? What do I post? How do I respond to this message? Each decision is tiny, but they pile up. By the end of the day, you're mentally exhausted. You haven't done anything difficult, but you're drained. People without social media preserve this energy. They make fewer trivial choices. This leaves more capacity for important decisions, for creative thinking, for problem solving.
They also maintain something called cognitive sovereignty. This means they control what enters their mind. Algorithms decide what most people see. You don't choose your feed. The platform does. It selects content that keeps you scrolling. Often that content is outrage, or envy, or fear. These emotions drive engagement. Your brain gets fed a diet of carefully selected triggers. Over time, this shapes your worldview. You start seeing the world as more divided, more dangerous, more unfair. People without social media curate their own information diet. They choose what books to read, what news to follow, who to talk to. This doesn't mean they live in a bubble. It means they build their bubble intentionally. They're not being fed content by an optimization algorithm. Let's address the loneliness question. People assume those without social media must be isolated. The opposite is often true. They have fewer connections, but deeper ones. Social media creates an illusion of connection. You see updates from hundreds of people. You feel connected, but it's a weak connection. You know what they had for lunch, but you don't know their real struggles. People without social media invest in fewer relationships, but those relationships are substantial. They call friends instead of liking posts. They meet in person instead of commenting. This takes more effort, but it builds actual intimacy, the kind that makes you feel truly known. There's a pattern here. Everything about avoiding social media requires more initial effort, but it pays long-term dividends. It's psychologically efficient. You spend energy where it matters. You avoid the empty calories of digital interaction. Another crucial factor is their resistance to manipulation. Social media platforms are designed to be addictive. Teams of engineers work to keep you scrolling. They use variable reward schedules. They exploit your fear of missing out. They trigger your insecurities. This isn't conspiracy theory, it's documented design practice. People without social media have opted out of this manipulation. They're not being psychologically prodded throughout the day. Their attention isn't being harvested and sold. This creates a sense of autonomy. They feel more in control of their choices because they actually are.
Think about how often you do something because you saw it online. A product, an opinion, a worry. Social media shapes your desires, often in ways you don't recognize. People without these platforms have desires that come from direct experience, from personal needs, from genuine curiosity. Their wants are more authentic, less manufactured. There's also the stress factor. Social media exposes you to everyone's problems. You feel bad about tragedies happening to people you barely know. You carry ambient anxiety about world events. You're expected to have opinions on everything. This is cognitively overwhelming. Humans evolved to care about a small tribe, maybe 150 people. Now you're supposed to care about thousands. Your empathy gets stretched thin. People without social media have a more manageable circle of concern. They care deeply about people they can actually help. This isn't selfish, it's psychologically sustainable.
Here's the part that will stick with you. The people who don't use social media aren't missing out. They've gained something most people have lost without noticing. They've kept their attention, their time, their sense of self, their mental peace. These aren't small things. They're the foundation of a good life. And every day more people are realizing this. The trend is quietly reversing. The smartest minds are logging off. They're not making a statement. They're making a choice to live in the world instead of watching it through a screen. If this made you think differently about your own relationship with these platforms, subscribe so you don't miss what we explore next.